Well, before we get on to the update, and for all you people trying to look for an alternative candidate for the president, we still have Ben Jones as Cooter. Yeah, he would have been great. He also has political experience as a congressman from Georgia, right? Hazard County. Actually, that's not Hazard County, but he was from Georgia, and he was replaced by the guy with the contract for the America, Newt Gingrich, if you recall. That was the guy. That's who he lost out to, Newt Gingrich. We should have kept Ben Jones. But anyway, Cooter for president. I agree. Things are actually not changing that much, except in the markets and the equities. And women, you are still threatened. Buy yourself a little gun there, because if you notice what happened in Sweden and up in the Scandinavian countries, who the hell knows if that can happen here? I'm not going to get on with that too much because this video is not about that. But I also want to state that the economy is sick. It really is sick. I'm going to tell you, we have not seen the problem yet because the dollar was strong relative to other currencies, and also the equities were strong. But as I pointed out many times before, the equities in general, now the equities are getting slammed, but as I pointed out many times before, the general equities were strong because that's where the bubble actually was created by the Federal Reserve policies. Since they were giving money to the too bigs to fail, the banks and the large financial institutions, the ultra wealthy, they were investing in equities, prime real estate, also like collector items. It could be artwork or even classic cars or things like that. So they created a asset bubble in types of investments that are for wealthy people, basically. They have not created any kind of consumer inflation because none of that money that was the Federal Reserve has been printing, quote unquote, you want to call that word printing, or stimulating the economy with, actually got down into the wages. So the economy is sick, and the reason you could say it's really sick for sure is because some things I pointed out before was the Baltic Dry Index. Why do I say Baltimore? The Baltic Dry Index, which is the lowest. It showed the lowest it ever was in its history, which is the shipping of goods and commodities across the ocean ways which shows you that there's not much activity going on between countries, real trade. The other thing is the commodity prices in oil. Oil is also a reflection of the economy. When the oil prices when there's a lot of demand for manufacturing, oil prices go up. You could say, oh, there's such a glut. Yeah, well, I know Saudi's playing games. Actually, Saudi is shooting itself in the foot. Their largest oil producer, I forget the name of it. They're thinking about going an IPO, initial public offering, because they're having problems in Saudi. So, who the hell knows? That's telling me. Actually, there's a number of reasons I think the regime is on the way out, and for that reason, I think that there's going to be major problems in Saudi. Saudi's actually shooting itself in the foot. Actually, the Saudi regime is on the way out, and it could spell major conflict in the Middle East, which will bring up the price of oil, which will bring up the price of gold when there's ever uncertainty, and also bring up the price of silver. Now, also, I want to say is just beware of politicians promising you the moon. Nachos as big as your ass. Free wireless internet for everybody, right? You know how that deal is. I promise you. Oh, I'm gonna make America. I know some people get mad at me for this, but just beware of this, because I know people that are actually involved in the silver community. They're all looking at, they used to be into Ron Paul, now they're into Donald Trump, and Ron Paul actually was sincere, because even though I don't think he was really running for president, for like he really said he wasn't really trying to go the whole 9 yards. He was running for president. But Trump has been a guy that's been a Clintonite for like most of his life, and I don't know. Well, we'll see. I think. Well, I just pointed out in another video. I think like Hillary's ship is torpedoed, so maybe it'll be Bernie Sanders. So anyway, but what always happens? It always comes back to the mountain. Actually, to the reality of the situation. Old school always works. As a matter of fact, right now Goldman Sachs is saying that the the U.S. equity markets are having such problems due to the high-speed trading, the web bot trading and all that. They're saying it's totally out of control. That's per, what the hell's the name over there? Lloyd Blankfein. So, what I'm saying is a lot of these things are really coming home to roost, and we're going back to the mountain, the old school way, silver. So anyway, I just want to say that, things are getting deep here as far as like the crap that they're trying to come up for excuses of why the economy is going to be coming down, and you're going to need some pretty heavier duty boots than the freaking boots that the old girl is wearing here. So it's going to be coming down to like, actually, our economy is already sunk. And I'll also repeat the other thing about the Baltic Dry Index, but also about the retail sector, locally, domestically. Also, the railroads are they're showing a lot more fall off, or a lot less shipment of goods by rail, and also a layoff of railway conductors. I also want to say this, actually, old girl here is trying to hitchhike, and that's going to be probably us if you don't watch watch what's going on, because some people have the attitude they have extra money and they just do stupid things with it. Do not employ that type of strategy. That does not also mean that since you have extra money, quote unquote, to invest it in silver all the time, because you might need other things that are more important for basic survival. Like, what would you do with that silver if you really were in a pinch? You need food, clothing, and shelter, right? So you want to have those things in line first. But although it looks like silver, gold, platinum, palladium, now platinum, palladium started springing up as the markets took a serious dive today. It'll be interesting if they get down into the 15,000s for the Dow. But also, I want to say that Bank of America has been trying to. I was just reading this a couple days ago, and I was going to put it out, yesterday, and I said, I've been telling people a lot of other stuff. Bank of America was talking about they're trying to warn their clients that the situation's worse than they think it is. Like, the Bank of America is trying to warn their clients that the situation is far worse than they think of it is. Actually, RBC is telling their clients to sell everything. Now, there's different people saying different things, but there's also another analyst out there. I forgot the guy's name, but he was talking about the and I actually read a lot of major media stuff too. I don't actually just I don't pull my information from the alternative media all the time, or a lot of it I never do actually. I kind of skim what they say, because the alternative media has been beating the same drum forever. Now it looks like things are really getting hammered big time. And the economy really has been hammered. It's just that it has not reflected in the power of the dollar, the strength of the dollar, and the actual general equities yet. But all the underlying issues were there for forever. When oil prices are this low, like $30 a barrel, another analyst says that if oil went below $40, that it would mean the entire world economy is basically collapsed. And that's, do not think about, I guess you could think of it supply and demand, but you know what that means? There's no demand, which means there's no manufacturing, there's no activity going on, there's no construction going on, there's hardly any shipment of goods going on. It's telling you the economy really is bad. That's when the oil prices go down that low. Now, actually, when they start going up higher, it works as a brake on the economy, because if you increase the oil price a certain amount, it actually works as a brake for the GDP, the gross domestic product. But with commodities, they don't necessarily move up real smooth. They spike. And, that's really what I'm expecting with might happen with the silver, gold, and oil. In all the commodities, they will super spike at one point in time. And it'd be nice to catch that super spike right at the top. But, what I always look at it is I don't think I'll be that damn lucky. I just think I'll just be thinking about my next move. And what's your next move going to be? Into another hard asset that actually produces something. So, anyway, the evil empire is trying to stand on two legs still, but probably not. It's probably, it looks like it's going to be caving in. And I talked about Hillary Clinton. Now I know I mean, I'm not Karnak the magician, like I can predict something exactly, but I think I do have I think I have very good insight into a lot of different things that are going on. I think her ship really is sunk now. It's going to be Bernie Sanders. What does that mean for the markets? Well, I don't think it really means anything. The only thing is I'm a little worried about is if they have a problem right before the election, is Obama going to continue on? I hope not. I hope those rumors are wrong. I hope they are. But in times of uncertainty, you know what that means. What happens then? The price of gold goes up. The problem with silver, it's attached to gold. There is a linkage to gold. Not a super, super strong linkage, but there is a linkage to gold. But there's also a linkage to the industrial side. But there's also a linkage to oil. And like I said before, I think Saudi is in serious, serious trouble now, whereby they're coming through a new time. They're coming through a dead zone, whereby they're not going to be able to recover from it because, they put themselves. They're alienating not only nations around them. Israel. I know sometimes people say Israel is in cahoots with the Saudi family. I don't know if they are or not. But, there's major problems going on between Saudi and Iran. Now, more so than ever, they don't trust each other to, even beyond what it was before. You're also having problems when, the king died. There's other problems going on internally in the Saudi family. Now, they also painted themselves in a corner because by bringing down the oil prices this bad, they've made themselves enemies with Russia. They've also made themselves enemies with the oil elite in the United States. And, I think, if they just topple the Saudi regime and they start a major conflict in the Middle East, well, it's going to be good for Russia and it's going to be good for the oil elite in the United States. And also what that's going to lead to is extremely high gold prices and extremely high oil prices and silver prices. And the more tensions we have with Russia, the higher the prices of palladium in particular, and also platinum. So, a lot of times the markets are extremely psychological. I know people talk about supply and demand. If everybody owned an ounce of silver, the prices, there wouldn't be even enough for, there'd only be a small fraction of the number of people on this earth could even own an ounce of silver. But, it doesn't really work like that per se in the markets, besides the markets being rigged. If you even, discount the supply, you say the heck with the supply and demand, and you say the heck with the rigging, a lot of things are psychological. It's the way things appear. And a lot of times, markets could be moved by hype, just like you're watching a circus, Ringling, Barnum, and Bailey Circus, right? And, I am watching, and tell you the truth, I am not one of the people that are pushing a pump and dump or some kind of crap or working with, what do you call those things, those bullion dealers or anything. I am trying to find out, I'm trying to determine where this is going to be, that I think we will have another super spike, and I think there will be another pump and dump. I'm not going to hold silver forever, and but what I'm going to be looking at most carefully is what is the next asset to go into. That's what I'm going to be looking at carefully. Now, I think that actually a lot of the electronic banks, the banking system is going to have some serious problems and repercussions. And there may be, just like they talked about, total financial collapse in the West. But then again, if you are one of the, the honeys that are part of the BSA, the Babysitters of America, I think you will always be hired if you look at enough. The problem is, I think that a lot of people in the United States have lost sight of just that entrepreneurship and that toughness. And actually, I put that out in another video about some of the communist goals of 1919 and how they've really came to fruition today. A lot of times people are very much superfluous today. They're not really trying to do concrete things or get the ball rolling or whatever the hell it is. They are just looking for pure entertainment all the time. I try to make these financial updates a little different from the rest of the people. I try to bore you to death. But, because I know this kind of subject is boring, man. Financial stuff is boring. it's boring, 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 but you got to know it, right? You got to know what the hell's going on. So I just want to say that, as an end, you could still change the economy, or not say change the economy, but you could change the economy not in an aggregate, but for yourself, but just being an entrepreneur. I mean, there's a lot of things people can do, and a lot of people, and anybody, if they wanted to, we talk about silver saving your financial, nest egg and all this kind of crap. Well, anybody can say grow tomatoes too, for crying out loud. I mean, even that in itself can be healthful and lucrative. And it's such a small thing, but people don't do it. That's 99% of the freaking problem. And you know what? I'm going to say this. When we have a major financial collapse in the world, this country, in the United States and also Western Europe, is going to feel it the most. Even an industrialized country like Japan, I don't think they're going to feel it that much because everybody over there pretty much knows how to grow gardens on their rooftops. Here in the United States, everybody is dependent upon somebody else to fix something or do something. They want, to use credit cards. They want, this is electric. They just call somebody up to do this. They don't know how to do anything themselves. A lot of people, not me per se, but a lot of people are like that. They are not independent. They are not some people that can actually get out there and do things on their own. Not even just grow food, but just fix anything. And now, if you look at their complications or complexity of our society, everything's like tied together electronically or dependent upon electronic this or electronic that. If there's an actual problem, things can really unravel here a lot more than people might expect. So, I mean, silver is a very good hedge against the markets, but it's not your only answer if there's going to be like a total problem. And, the other thing is just kind of chill out. Like, I don't really, you notice I do not push this doom and gloom button all the way. I mean, if there's a major financial collapse and, it's like you're on your motorcycle and the engine just took a dump and, you look like this honey over here, she's going to get a ride. You know what I mean? So, I mean, if you want to compare that to something else, say, for instance, you have, if there's a major financial collapse and, maybe you are a framer, you're a guy that's a framer, well, there's going to be people that need your skills to fix things, and there'll be trade for that, whatever it is. If there's a major financial collapse and you're a bureaucrat in a suit and you're just somebody who's just an office pogue, and not that I'm saying that's necessarily a bad thing all the way, but you are going to be SOL, just like what happened in the Roman Empire when they had the collapse in the empire. Turned out, the fancy people on the top, if you want to call them that, were not worth that much, and what turned out to be worth the most was like the blacksmiths, the masons, the people that know how to do construction, build aqueducts, the people that know how to work with the leather and stuff like that, with the horses and all that stuff. Those people that actually know how to create something and be productive were worth more. Unless, of course, you look super hot like old girl here, and then you probably don't have to worry about anything. But, the problem is when the situation gets bad, it's going to get deep, and you're probably going to need boots deeper than these boots that the old girl's wearing her. So, anyway, it's going to be a return to the mountain. And I say return to the mountain, which means a return to our American values. And, even if you don't want to say Christian values per se, but if you really understand, like, Buddha and Confucianism, whatever you want to call it, those type of things, and Judaism, there's like a commonality of what's right and wrong. I'm not going to mention Islam because I think that's in another field that's kind of political. But, even before the religions, a lot of people knew what was right and wrong, more or less. It's going to be a return of values. In other words, individual rights. People do whatever they want to do as long as they're not stepping on other people or destroying other people's rights. It's going to be returned to the mountain and away from political correctness and away from all the bullshit. But, the markets are actually so much changed recently, and it's, it just took a hell of a lot longer than I thought. And, and the other thing is I wanted to leave you with this because now that we've seen the total implosion of some of these commodities like platinum, palladium, silver, and oil, Um, those typically what happens is they get clobbered first, then the equities. Now today, now it's only one day. One day doesn't mean anything per se, but it's a sign possibly. You saw like almost a 364 point move downward at the close of the Dow, which was actually even lower than that. And you've seen some of the metals really taking off pretty hard, especially like Palladium, which was kind of weird. After getting slaughtered, it went up quite a bit today. And it's an industrial metal, so why would a 90% industrial metal go up that much? And when the Dow Jones Industrials have got slaughtered, it's almost telling you a story that people are almost using that as a safe haven, or they think it's a buy, or it was too damn low. Interesting, huh? So anyway, things are playing out like as we thought. Just that they're taking much longer than I thought. Okay, will the $10 silver occur? That's a $40 or $8 silver car. Some of these people have been predicting last summer. They said it was definitely going to happen. There's a limit to how much this can go down. I mean, silver, when it's up like $44, to drop $4 is 10% move. But when it drops down from 14 to 10, that's a hell of a lot more than a 10% move. Even to go down to 8, you're talking about, 60% of its price today. If you don't have any, I can't see how this could be the wrong time to buy, but like I said, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Ugh. So anyway, economy's sick, and as far as the individuals in America, I hope they stay healthy and wealthy, and I hope they protect themselves with whatever needs they need to, because I think as the economy implodes, there may be some social unrest and jealousy and all this type of stuff, but I look at it like this, people got to really just work harder and get away from the superfluous garbage. Go back to the old roots of Ben Jones as Cooter and the Dukes of Hazzard. God, they call, the major media calls that, it's racist because they had that flag up there. That don't mean nothing. That flag is just a cultural symbol of the South, right? But, that's what people got to go back to. If you look back, if you even looked at this show, like with the Dukes of Hazzard, which was a pretty corny show in a lot of ways, it really was. But you kind of look at the underlying, moral story behind it. It was like people that didn't have a lot of money still got along well, and they still got by. So if we do have this, if the major media is telling you, oh, the economy's sick and everything's going down and blah, 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 and all this doom and gloom shit, don't worry about it too much. I mean, worry about your own little world. And if you have skills, you can fix you can fix things on yourself. In other words, you can fix your own economic problems yourself. If you're like your framer, you're a roofer, you know how to grow crops, you know how to fix cars or whatever the hell it is, or you know how to do plumbing or electrical work, you're probably going to be okay, because people always need those type of things. I think the people in the offices are going to be the ones that have the biggest problems. And do beware of any politician out there that promises you, I'm not necessarily picking on Trump, because I got suspicions about him. He's been a lifetime Clinton guy, and all of a sudden he turned into Mr. Tea Party to the max, But, free wireless internet and nachos as big as your ass, you know what I mean? Politicians are making all these big promises. You know what they're doing. They're blowing smoke up your wazoos. And, anyway, it's going to be returned to our values. And, just don't sweat it, man. It looks like shit's turning out the way it should be. The ones that look like they're sweating it right now is like the too bigs to fail. Like the hedge funds are getting hammered right now. It's like a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people getting hammered. Bill Ackman's getting crushed again and stuff. They're all getting slammed, man. And I'm like, no problem, man. Hey, when you don't have like a lot of your money in the markets, who gives a damn, right? That's the way I look at it. You could chill out and just hang out in the corner here and not worry about it.